Hi, I'm Luna Martinez. I'm 16 years old. I'm from Miami and I'm applying for the music business track at Grammy Camp. Music has always been one of my biggest passions, but not just in the way most people talk about it. I've always been obsessed with the process behind the scenes, how artists evolve, how their branding shifts, and how an album rollout can completely change the trajectory of their careers. I love discovering artists before they blow up, finding indie acts that have the potential to go mainstream, and thinking about the strategies that help them break through. I've always had this instinct or sort of sixth sense for spotting artists before they really take off. I remember finding Billie Eilish right around when her very first Don't Smile at Me EP started coming out, and I just remember thinking I had never heard anything like it. I felt so connected to such a young girl who was writing about the experiences that we all experience as young girls, and seeing her like take off from it was so amazing. Then there was Olivia Rodrigo. I followed her entire career, like from the Disney days. I would watch her in the American Girl doll movies, and I stayed up to listen to Driver's License the second it dropped at midnight. I knew instantly it was gonna be massive, and then within days it was everywhere. And of course, Chaperone. I've been following her forever and seeing her finally get the recognition that she deserves. Growing up, my mom worked in the film industry, so I spent a lot of time helping her with spreadsheets, paperwork, and just being around the creative industry and really understanding how much strategy goes into these things. She also raised me on rock, so music has always been at the center of my life. We watch the Grammys together every year, and I love predicting who's going to be nominated, analyzing why they were nominated, and thinking about why certain artists get the recognition that they do. Grammy Camp would be an incredible opportunity for me because it would give me the chance to get some real world experience in the industry that I've always dreamed of being a part of. I want to learn from people who are actually shaping the music business, how they market artists, how they create campaigns that connect with audiences, and how they navigate an industry that's constantly changing. More than anything, I want to be surrounded by people who love this industry just as much as I do. One artist I'd love to work with is Charli XCX. She represents something that I think is really missing in the industry right now. Real connection between artists and fans. Everything feels so online and curated that artists feel completely out of reach. I think fans want something more personal, something beyond just a polished Instagram feed or a TikTok trend. And Charli, to me, embodies that connection. Her entire aesthetic and career have always centered around the idea of a misunderstood girl, someone ahead of her time, constantly pushing boundaries, deeply tied to rave culture and the hyper sleazy, cyber inspired aesthetic of Y2K. And that's why, if I could develop a campaign for her, I'd create XCX Unlocked, an interactive rollout where fans solve cryptic clues, find hidden USBs through pop-up clubs and hints on Charli and her team's socials in their city, and unlock content through a digital scavenger hunt. The USBs themselves would feel like a nod to the DIY nature of club culture and the early 2000s way of sharing music, like burning CDs or loading tracks onto an MP3 player, bringing back that tactile underground feel that's so central to Charli's world. Instead of just dropping an album on streaming services and calling it a day, this would make it an experience, something that feels interactive and personal, something that brings fans into her world. I think if artists like Charli led the way, we could bring back the golden days of music, the kind where fans felt like they were part of the journey, not just watching from a distance. An industry professional I'd say I look up to would probably be Rick Rubin because he's defined the sound of some of the biggest names across two completely polar opposite genres, which also happen to be my two very favorite music genres, rock and roll and hip hop. I grew up listening to bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Nine Inch Nails, and Beastie Boys, whom he all produced for, but he's also been behind the scenes shaping hip hop legends like Jay-Z, Kanye West, and Run DMC. I know that I have the passion, vision, and instinct for this industry. I just think that I need the right experience and mentorship to take me to the next level. That's why Grammys Camp is so important to me. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'd be honored to be a part of this program.